How's everybody doing?
We're getting very sick of being home or wherever, and
No, this one does its own thing.
Governor Cuomo said we could have 25 people at a meeting as of today. And so I want to have our election and continuity committee meeting in real life next month. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah.
At the library.
When next month?
Right before the
Executive meeting?
Meeting at 5, like we always do. How's that?
On the 1st?
I'd have to get out my calendar.
My main question is, will the library be open?
On the 1st?
I mean, will the library be open for us to go in there? Because I know that you'll be doing curbside by then, but
Yeah. Oh, let me
are
check
we
one
the
thing.
public or what? Yeah.
We're supposed to be open till 6 o'clock.
So
For the
we
public.
can come in at 5 and
Yeah.
have our meeting?
Yep.
Okay, good.
What day is that?
The
First.
election and continuity meeting that we have before the executive meeting.
So next question, if that's being held before the executive committee meeting and before the buildings and grounds committee meeting, will there be a space for people to join the Zoom meeting at the library, because those are being held by Zoom?
I'm on, but I have no sound.
Yeah, we can always do Zoom. When are
Yeah,
you when do you plan on doing in-person meetings for the board meeting?
That is a really awesome question. So New York State says that we can
Everybody's breaking up.
having meetings in person with fewer than 25 people. And since we're fewer than 25 people, theoretically we could have those meetings. We just have to, space them appropriately, like we did that meeting that we had that was like a mix of Zoom and meeting.
Is she breaking up to everybody else?
Nope.
Not me.
So theoretically we could have a board meeting in person next month, and then have it set up so that we can Zoom like we did that time that we had the mixed meeting.
Okay.
Good, I
we
like
can
that.
theoretically do that with all of the meetings next month, including exec and buildings and grounds and the continuity meeting.
Okay.
If that's something that everyone else is cool with, because it can be that you can come in and meet, or you can stay at home and Zoom in, depending on what you feel up to.
I'm in. That's good. Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Oh, all of you come in, because I miss you guys.
Question. If we meet with the election committee and buildings and grounds at 5 and 5:30, can we stay until 6 for the executive meeting, even though the library supposedly closes?
Well, I'll be here, so you're good to go.
Okay.
We
Okay.
can wear masks if we want.
And I assume we'd be in the big conference room, because there's no way we can maintain social distance in the little conference room.
Yeah, we'll do it in the yard.
Good.
Awesome. Thank you for setting that up, or thanks in advance for setting that up. You get what I'm saying.
I understand.
Kevin, did you hear that? About the continuity and election committee? I know Pat did. I'll notify Rick and.
Where are we gonna meet, Phyllis?
Ron,
Yeah,
I'm only getting about half of what she says. It's clicking on and off and cutting her out.
That's weird.
it's got to be your computer, Jack.
I hear you fine.
Ah,
Okay. Can everybody else hear me though?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Let's see what happens.
All right. So I guess we're gonna call to order because the alarm just went off, so that's a little past 6 o'clock. So call to order. Pledge if you've
Can
got
we
a
take,
flag.
can we take a break for a second? I'm going
Okay.
to sign off and sign back on and see if it fixes it.
Jack,
Okay.
do you want to call and also be on Zoom?
I'll take
There
that
is
as a no.
There is a little tiny bit of static when she talks, like right at the end of her dictation, there's a little bit of static.
Okay. Well, it might
I'm
just
not
be
sure
that
why.
this is an older microphone, so
You might just be picking up more, yeah.
yeah. Okay. So I guess Jack hopefully will let us know when he logs back in. And there he is. Jack's back on. Awesome. So I guess we're continuing the call to order. We don't have a
Muted.
flag, so I guess we'll skip the Pledge of Allegiance and go straight to, wow, where's the agenda? I don't have an agenda. Awesome. Okay. And we'll go
Approval of
straight
minutes.
to the approval of the minutes. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? Okay, can I get a vote? All in favor of accepting the minutes? Aye.
aye.
Any objections? Okay, the minutes have passed. Okay, the financial report. Jack?
Financial report speaks for itself. We're still doing very well. If there's any questions, either Holly or I will answer them. If there are none, I will move it.
All in favor? Or can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty, so that has passed. Okay, so let's go on to the report of unpaid bills. So there were two different listings of unpaid bills. There was the one for June 18th, and then there was the undated one.
Holly, I could not get mine to download. Would you give it, please?
Sure. Yep. The new total is $64,529.05.
Okay, and does anyone have any questions or concerns about anything that was in that bill?
This is a very minor thing, but I just wondered about the sewer tax. It looked like it was for horse heads, and I wondered about the rest of the
Yeah,
sewer.
they'll be next time. Yeah, it just came a little earlier, so we'll pay the rest of them at the exec meeting.
Oh, okay.
All right.
The dates just staggered, and I just kind of took care of them as they came in.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any comments or questions about those bills? Can I get someone to move them?
I move.
Okay, can I get a second?
Pat?
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so those are passed. I move that we get Ron to sign them so that we don't have to come in and sign them. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, it is, any opposed? All right, that is passed. Next is correspondence.
There wasn't any.
No correspondence, okay. President's report. So as we just discussed earlier in this meeting, our next board meeting and our next executive committee meeting, and in fact, the rest of the committee meetings are going to be mixed meetings where you can Zoom in, but you can also attend in person at a social distance at the auditorium in the library. The library will be opening for curbside delivery at the end of the month, which is awesome. Yay, go library team. Yeah, so that's what's going on my end. We're continuing to keep up with what the governor is saying so that if the worst happens, we can shut down again, but hopefully that won't happen. Last time, this is where we discussed the Jack's amendments to the board policies. Do we want to do that again at this point, or do we want to hold that off for a little later?
Let's go to let's put it in old business.
Okay, that's fine. All right, in that case, director's report.
All righty. It's been an interesting return to work for the staff. We're operating at 50% capacity. Seems like pretty much everybody was thrilled to get back to work. They've been busy checking in the materials that have come in from the book drop. As hopefully you are aware, the book drops are open. They will be from now on. Not too many materials have come back, but they've caught up on everything that has been. New materials that have come in since we're open, they are still getting quarantined. They will start checking them in tomorrow. Staff have been shelf reading when they haven't been checking in books. We haven't received a lot of new materials. We were hoping that they would start arriving this week so we could process. We're told they're going to start arriving in bulk next week. So hopefully we'll get them processed in as best we can prior to opening on the 29th.
So Ron, you're not charging late fees for anyone who's not aware that the book drops are not currently open.
They're not charged late fees until July 1st.
Okay.
And STLS may adjust and push that back again.
Okay, so you've made announcements on the website. I know that. Have we made like a press release so that
Yes.
people know? Okay.
Yes, the press release went out. I gave them everything about, obviously, the library being closed. I talked about reopening for curbside service on the 29th, and I said more details will be following. We'll probably send out the curbside press release next week.
Okay, I haven't seen that yet in the paper.
It should be. It should
Okay.
be coming out.
Ron, I haven't brought my books back, and do I call first and say, or just anytime I can drop them off?
You can drop them in the book return anytime.
Okay.
So, and I'll get you more details about curbside once I have it written up.
Okay.
If you've been out front of Steel, you may have noticed the sign is operational. It looks pretty neat. Staff will be getting trained on it the week of the 29th. Until then, it'll just show the American flag and the time and date, but at least it's working. That's one project done. Rachel mentioned reopening scheduled for the 29th. I think we're good to go with what we're going to do with the staff, but again, I'll send you the information when I send it out to the newspapers and the media. We had the issue with New York State for the Workplace Violence Protection Plan. I've been working with CSEA. We have visited all of the branches, and we've completed the branch assessments. So we're ahead of schedule on that. I have already sent the Workplace Violence Prevention Program Policy Statement to New York State for their input. I wrote it up and I ran it by Kim Middaugh. She made a couple corrections and then I sent it forward because it needed to be there on the 16th. It was brought to my attention we may have an issue with certain goings on here at Steele Memorial. Thank you, Crystal, for letting me know. I contacted Jacqueline Council. She's a community navigator for Chemung Department of Social Services. She put me in touch with a Mr. Bob Harris, and he is going to give us human trafficking awareness training for the library staff.
Oh, wow.
And when will that be taking place, or has that not yet been scheduled?
It has not yet been scheduled. I would like to have it
Could
prior
you,
to reopening up. Somebody say something?
Could you tell us a little bit about the violence protection plan? What do you have to do for that?
Well, basically, I'm trying to read from the New York State report, okay? We had a policy statement on workplace violence, but it did not include authorized employee representation. So we had to get CSEA input on it. That is taken care of. We did not do a risk evaluation of the workplace. That we have corrected. All the forms are in, and we're working on writing up that section. Another violation was we didn't develop the employee workplace violence protection plan with authorized employee representatives. That we're in the process of taking care of. That's due by July 28th. We failed to provide information and training on the risks of workplace violence.
I'm just curious.
Go ahead,
I'm just
Bonnie.
curious what I'm just curious what that exactly means. Workplace violence prevention. How do you? What are they suggesting that you do to prevent it?
To mitigate any instances of workplace violence that occur. It could be between staff members. It could be between a staff member and a member of the public, or excuse me, it could be violence perpetrated by a personal relationship of the staff member. So basically, we're just identifying these risks. For example, do employees handle money? Are the parking lots well lit? Which fortunately they are. Do we have any environmental designs in place to separate employees from the public? Well, yes, we have circulation desks. It's a wide variety of things. And I think when this is completed and you see it, I think you get a really good idea of what they're trying to do.
And do all staff get trained
Yes.
in those aspects?
Yes. I've made arrangements with Jamie Bergen from New York State. She's going to come down and conduct the training. We're planning on doing it in two phases before August 18th, I think is the day it's due. So we'll get everybody trained before then, and that will take care of this requirement.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, thank you. They gigged us for our system to record and report workplace violence incidents. We had a form, but it didn't list time of day and the shift when it occurred, name or other identifier of other individuals involved, and nature and extent of injuries arising from the incident. So we have fixed the form and that's ready to go. We have to get what's called an SH900 from the insurance company on a quarterly basis. I'm working with them to try and get it updated. And then we did not have a poster up on the wall. However, we took care of that back in March. So we're making good progress on this report.
Thank you very much.
Okay. If it's all right, Carl, I want to talk about the boiler right now. They came in and they have removed the old boiler. They're in the process of pouring a concrete pad to set the new boiler on. It should be done within a month. So that's way ahead of schedule. Our original completion date was hopefully by 1 October. So hopefully by mid-July, 2 of our construction projects will be totally off the books. So I think that's a good state to be in. That's all I got.
Okay, so the executive committee, you have the minutes. Does anyone have any questions about the minutes? No? Okay. So on to the budget and finance committee.
You got the minutes? Any questions?
So I think we need to talk a little bit about how we had the budget, the preliminary budget. So because we're expecting that the community will not be in a financial position to give us a significant raise in terms of what we can ask from the tax base, and also we're expecting to not have as much state aid, and also we're expecting to have higher insurance premiums. Our thoughts were that we would cut back on a number of things in order to save money, and have quite a lot of reserves. And so one of our thoughts was that rather than buy the new computers and do new technology things that we needed to do with taxpayer money, we would do it with reserve funds, which will save us, well, it won't save us money, but it'll save us having to put it on our taxpayers because we've already got that money as a nest egg that we're sitting on, and we might as well use it because why else do we have reserve funds? So the draft is still, the budget is still in draft form, but that was one of the things that we talked about as part of that draft. Anyone have any questions? Ron, do you have elaborations? Holly?
Yep. No, you said it pretty much. Go ahead, Holly.
I don't really have anything to add. Yeah, we just kind of did a snapshot, of a year up until this point, and that was a little hard, because of the last 3 months haven't been a normal average representation. But yeah, I don't really have anything to add.
Okay, well, in that case, on to Buildings and Grounds Committee. Carl?
I have a growling dog behind me. So I think Ron covered the 2 main things. The other ones are the staff break room and the parking lot projects. Do you have any updates on anything that's going on with those?
Well, now that staff is back, I can show the, what do you call it?
Colors?
That has all the finishes and the colors and stuff. I can show that to some staff and get their input. Then we can move forward with that. As far as the parking lot, I'm holding off a little bit. New York State is not going to probably release funds for the boiler until November. The quote we got for the boiler is substantially less than what we reported to New York State. We just hit it at a time when contractors were looking for work, so we got a great deal. What I'm kind of hoping is that we'll have reserve funds left over from the boiler that we can use totally for the parking lot. And I question the idea of closing the parking lot off because it would really impact business this year. So I keep going back and forth on that. And I figure the parking lot would take several weeks. So I think we've irritated the taxpayers enough.
Those are all very valid concerns. Hey, I drove by Clemens Center Parkway today, and right across from our sinkhole, kind of,
Yeah,
is a giant hole on the other side of Clemens Center Parkway.
Oh,
fantastic.
I was gonna stop there and see. I mean, they dug it, but to see if they're digging up some old pipe or something that goes across Clemens Center Parkway. I don't know what the hole's for, but they got orange fence around it.
You gotta
Uh,
love it.
Did you and Phyllis ever get around to meeting to go over that spot where that needs the drainage?
No,
I'm still waiting to hear from somebody to tell me to come. I'm available.
yep,
Carl, did you ever find drawings?
I did not, but I didn't spend much time looking.
Right.
I've got to get our CAD guys to look, and they've been kind of busy. I guess that's everything on the building and grounds.
Alrighty. So on to the Personnel Committee. Did we have any personnel actions?
Yes.
Okay. What? I don't think I got those.
They were all just contract.
Yeah. Couple
was-
people were off of probation, and then the rest were contractual raises.
Okay, does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns, objections? Can I get a motion? Phyllis is moving. Can I get a second?
Pam,
Pat, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so last time we presented, or last time Penny presented Ron's evaluation. And we had briefly tabled a discussion of Ron's compensation because none of us could remember what the rest of the staff gets. It's 2%. Do we need to enter executive session to discuss that?
Yes.
Do we want to just pause the recording as opposed to end
No,
it like we did last
can
time?
end the
'Cause that-
meeting. You can go into executive session, and when you go in, you can state that you'll be ending the meeting from executive session. And once you leave, I can then stop the recording.
Okay, because last time it didn't save properly.
That's why, as long as the public portion is taken care of, I'm happy with that.
Okay, so we will save discussing your compensation for next time, and then I'll just email Holly, or I'll save that until the end of the meeting, and I will just email Holly and let her know what we all decided when we come out of executive session. Sound
Okay.
good?
And I'll put control of the meeting over to you.
Okay, but make sure to save the recording first, because last time you transferred control of the meeting to me and we just lost the recording altogether.
Oh, okay. Let me try and do it right now.
Okay, I don't know if that did anything.
Hold on a second. I'm in the process of making you a co-host of the meeting, Rachel.
It says now I'm a co-host. Okay, that worked.
Okay. You should be good.
Okay, awesome. So we're saving that. Election and Continuity Committee. What you got?
okay, the last meeting, we said that I should contact the Board of Elections and ask them if they have some suggestions. And I did, and they said they were really busy and they'd get back to me. And as of yet, they haven't gotten back to me, so I will contact them again. And we did not have a meeting of the board, of the committee.
Okay, thank you. Next.
The primary is next week, right? And they're doing absentee. You can go there and vote. So they're probably going to be busy until the primary is over.
Yeah.
Right.
probably.
Everything is new for them too, you know, they're doing mail-in and different days, and so I'm sure they are that busy that they just don't have time to. But I will email them again.
Okay. So anything from the advocacy committee?
No meetings.
Alrighty. So old business. Let's look at the proposed amendments that Jack made to the to our bylaws. So
Bylaws.
Article 3, Board of Trustees, Section 5. Candidates for the office of member of the Board of Trustees of Chemung County Library District shall be nominated by petition. A separate petition shall be required to nominate each candidate for a vacancy on the board. The candidate receiving the largest number of votes in an election district shall be elected to fill a vacancy on the board occurring in such a district. In the event there is a tie, the candidates who were tied shall have the option of the following methods for breaking the tie. If only two candidates, flipping a coin, cutting a deck of cards with the higher card indicating the winner, or by drawing lots. If there are more than two candidates with the same number of votes, the winner shall be determined by drawing lots. So last time we had discussed this, we mentioned that there should be a provision that would
Rachel,
allow, yes?
Before we discuss it, there needs to be a motion to put it on the floor. I move we adopt this one.
Oh, okay. Does anyone second?
We have to have a motion and a second to open it up to discussion.
Okay. Does anyone want a second so we can open it up to discussion? Okay, I see
Second.
Carl is seconding.
Bonnie seconded it.
Okay. So last time we had discussed this, we talked about having a provision in there that would allow a candidate to withdraw. That is not mentioned in this correction edition. So personally, I think we should have a clause that says, in the event that there is a tie, a candidate may withdraw. If no candidates withdraw, then those who tied shall have the following option. So like that. Also, there needs to be more commas. It's not grammatically correct. I like commas. What does anyone else think?
I thought what we talked about last time was if there are two candidates, that somebody would call each one to make sure that they wanted to stay.
Right, yeah, and that's not included in the amended rule.
No, I'm just correcting what you said.
Oh, okay. But basically, that they
Why
would
don't
have.
you make that an amendment?
Okay, so the amendment would be, in the event, so this is my proposed amendment. In the event that there is a tie vote, comma, both candidates will be given the option to withdraw, period. If no candidates withdraw, if no candidates withdraw, comma, those who are tied shall have the option of the following methods for breaking the tie, period. And then the rest
I'll
of it.
second it. I second the amendment.
Can I?
Okay, we're gonna
Okay,
have a discussion on this.
Sure.
Go.
I am really unhappy with the idea of choosing someone by flipping a coin. I think we should have maybe another vote.
What happens in other elections? Like if that happens in like a school board election, is there a runoff or is there the coin flipping? And I guess the other question is, would we get enough people actually showing up for the vote to break the tie? Considering how poorly attended our elections tend to be.
I don't think we can have a second election. School boards, it depends on what their bylaws. I've been on school boards, I've been on a lot of committees. Some do lots, some do flippings. There's different ways of doing it. But there's got to be a way in which a decision is made after the people have elected 1, 2, or 3 people to decide who's going to go on the board. If Phyllis has a problem with flipping the coin and doesn't have a problem with the rest of them, she can make an amendment to delete the flipping of the coin.
But do you have a problem with the drawing of lots? I mean, do you have a problem with the randomization of who gets to actually?
Yeah, I think that we are voted on, and that takes away the public's right to make their vote count by doing any of these methods. I know I'm not being terribly clear. Would someone like to help me out? And
Would you suggest? Phyllis,
yes,
what might you suggest to solve the problem?
the only thing I can think of is to have a vote between those two.
So a runoff election.
Right.
That would be very expensive, I believe.
And the chances of having a tie occur again are probably fairly high.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was going
especially
to say,
since
what
the only
happens if a runoff ends in another tie?
That's possible.
You have to bring it to an end. And if, you know, last year there was a Senate race in a state where the 2 people running for the Senate seat, and they decided it by drawing lots. It was one of the southern states. I don't remember which one it was. The
Well,
people
maybe this
elected.
is a dawn. Phyllis? Thoughts?
Well, it is true that it would be expensive, I guess, to have a runoff election, but I just think we're taking away the whole idea that the public has a right to choose.
Okay.
The public did choose. They picked 2 people. So we've got to find a way in which one of them gets to be on the board if they want to be on the board.
Does
I mean,
anyone?
I think this random thing is as fair as we can be. What I don't think we should do is something where we're, as the board, choosing who we like better. The lots is a very even, you have the same odds of being the one elected, and the voters did choose. So it seems to me that the amount of times it's happened, that this seems fair to me.
Okay.
Do we want to bring this to a vote, or do we want to continue to discuss?
I call for the question.
Okay, so which amendment are we voting on? Are we voting on for Jack's original amendment or my addition to his
You got to
amendment?
vote on the amendment and then vote on the original motion as amended.
Okay, so I moved and Jack seconded my amendment. So all in favor of amending the original proposal with my language? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, so the amendment has been made. Can we vote on the thing in total to make that particular change with the language as specified? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, awesome. On to the next amendment. Article 4, meetings, section 1. Meetings of the Board of Trustees shall be held on the 3rd Thursday of each month, 12 times per annum, at times to be established by the board. All board meetings will be publicized and are open to the public. If the meeting is by remote access, phone, video, or other similar methods, the notice shall contain the password for the public access to the meeting. I guess we need a motion to entertain.
I move it.
Okay, can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, so I'm opening up for discussion. Jessica, I am sure you want to raise the points you raised over email.
Just through my research, first of all, you can't ever do phone. It expressly says it has to be video conferencing. And then the most important thing, which I've stated over and over, is that if, say I had surgery, for example, so I wasn't able to come, so I let Ron know I wasn't going to be there and I wanted to video conference in, Ron would then have to publish that I would be wherever, my home, presumably, and people legally have the right to come and watch me at the meeting.
So,
Law.
so I know that Jack had mentioned previously that there might be changes to those meeting laws. I agree with Jessica that making amendments to our board bylaws that are ahead of where New York State laws are is probably not a good idea, and that we can revisit this if and when the state laws change to reflect the things that we wanted to put into our bylaws. But in the meantime, we definitely shouldn't amend our bylaws to include things that are unlawful under current New York State law.
First off, as it stands right now, we're allowed to do either phone or video under the governor's rule. Therefore, we as a board, in order to be able to do that, have to have bylaws which gives the board the authority to do that. We don't have that. I've talked to the Office of Open Government on Tuesday. They say there is nothing wrong with us adopting bylaws and by following those bylaws until the governor changes his mind and revokes that privilege. It's not illegal to have bylaws stating those things. What is illegal is you have bylaws and then the governor changes his mind, you cannot then exercise those bylaws because then they would be in conflict with the open meeting law.
Okay, I have a few things to say in response to that. First of all, most importantly, if you spoke to them, I spoke to them and I provided proof of exactly what they said to me, which is what I'm stating. So I'm curious about why that can't be provided to say it's okay. Second of all, we're allowed to do this because the governor made an executive order making this an exception. So that makes it allowed. Third, your amendment says nothing about we're only doing it because there's an executive order that the governor says. So then it's in our bylaws and then the executive order ends and then what?
Well, first off, his executive order does not give us the right to do it. He's giving us the right to adopt bylaws that allow us to do that. He can't tell us what to do. Our bylaws, what governor. I didn't get a response because I thought, if I tell you that I talked to the Office of Open Government, explain what we're doing, we wanted to have something for the board to follow. So if people raise the question, why are you doing this or how are you doing it? We're doing it in accordance with the following bylaws as long as the governor has his rule in effect. And if it goes out, then the bylaws just sit there and they're not used. You know, we're under a lot of scrutiny, and I don't know what Brennan will or won't do, but as a governing body, bylaws are established to give you the authority to conduct business. And one of the aspects in this era that we're in conducting business is how do we deal with the fact that we can't get together. That is dealt with because the governor said, basically, the open meeting laws are set aside. That means that if we're going to conduct business, we should have a set of rules and guidelines and how we're going to conduct business if we're going to either use the phone, video or whatever. And therefore, that's why I offered this.
I think we have to be mindful of the open meetings law. I think that takes some degree of precedence over how we do business.
And I also feel like it sets a slippery slope. If your intent is to only allow it during the executive order, nothing in the amendment says that.
We'll make an amendment to it to say that this bylaw is only in effect until the executive order is rescinded.
That seems like an awful lot of trouble to go through to change our amendments for something so temporary.
Then tell me, where did you get the...
in good conscience get behind something that, from my research that I have provided, literally says we cannot.
Well, your information is if the open meeting law was operative. It's not. So your decision, and you did a lot of research on it, but it's not controlling at this point because of the governor's order. He said it. So if you say you're not going to do it, I guess the only question I have is, what authority do we have to conduct Zoom meetings? We don't.
All the school board, all the town boards, they're all doing Zoom meetings. Are you saying they're all operating illegally? They're operating by the executive order the governor made, allowing it to happen, setting aside the open meeting law.
No, they're operating because the governor set aside the open meeting law, and they're not paying any attention to their bylaws and what rules them. I'm just saying, as a matter of course, if we're going to do business and conduct it as you're supposed to, we should have authority in the bylaws for us to conduct video conferencing, Zoom, whatever you want to call it, meetings until the executive order is rescinded.
May I make a suggestion? We have the existing bylaw that states how we are to conduct meetings under normal circumstances. May I respectfully suggest that we add something that says, in the unusual circumstances, or words to this effect, such as the recent COVID virus pandemic and the governor's executive order, that meetings be allowed to be conducted via Zoom or similar technology. That way you're covering, first of all, what you do in a normal circumstance, but then if things are extraordinary, here's a way that's allowed, and specifying that executive order would allow this, the usual thing to be suspended for the duration of whatever emergency or exigency is in effect. Is that?
And I like that because it allows that it might not be a one-time thing. It might be, well, the next pandemic, you also get to suspend the rules. Right. So Martha, if you would like to rephrase that so that Holly has a chance to write it down so that it can be an amendment to Jack's amendment.
All right.
Well, mine was a motion, not an amendment.
Oh, well, I mean, the amendment to the bylaws.
Is that something that we could work on and address at an upcoming meeting so that we have time to get the language correct?
Sure. I move we table it.
All right. Then Holly, I will draft something and send it to you. Okay. And I'll, does anyone else need to be CC'd on that?
Yeah, would you CC me and Martha? As long as you're going to do that, would you look at Article 7, Section 5? Because that goes on and carries on with this idea.
All right, I'm making notes.
Okay, did somebody want to second Jack's motion to table that then?
I'll second we table.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Can I just say, instead of using Zoom, which is a specific thing that is now available but might not be 6 months from now, can we say video conferencing or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
That's my fault when I redid it.
Well, no big deal, but.
Okay, so there was an additional amendment to the bylaws, which was Article 5, Officers, Section 6. The executive director shall always be included in a meeting in executive session unless the meeting pertains to their salary or performance concerns. It is crucial for the individual who bears staff responsibility for the organization to be fully briefed on all delicate matters. The board will benefit from their professional experience, advice, and counsel. Can I get a motion to bring that to the floor? Jack, it's your motion. Do you want to bring it forward?
Nope.
No? Does anyone else? Okay. So I guess
Dies.
that dies. All right. Do we have any additional old business?
Yeah, we got the other, you don't have it there, but I didn't send it. Where we had the question about people being sworn in December so they could take office in January, Phyllis was right. I have contacted the New York State Libraries Association, the State Education Department, and I forget who the other one is, to see if there's a way we can amend our bylaws so we can have people able to be sworn in and take office on January 1. They said they'd get back to me, they haven't, so just put it off till next meeting.
Okay, thank you for letting us know. Was there any additional old business? Any new business?
Rachel, I have an item of new business. It's more to inform the board that I am now unemployed. I was one of the people that lost my job earlier this month at the college. I've already told Ron and Rachel. I don't know how this is going to affect my position on the board. I will keep you posted.
Okay,
Sorry
well,
to hear that.
yes, we're sorry to hear that, but thank you for letting us know. And I guess if you move or otherwise need to leave the board, please let us know then as well.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that's new business?
Yes, I need to have Ron have permission. We have a quote for the sneeze guards that we're going to get for each of the branches. The quote is not accurate as of today. There were additional hoops to jump through to have our tax exempt status acknowledged. I do apologize. And I think we'll actually be able to cut, and they couldn't begin processing the order until they received payment. So we're just trying to expedite things and make it there. So they're going to be in fact, with the tax exempt status, it'll be about $3,400. But it's not on the unpaid bills list because I didn't have an official amount, as I should have it in about 24 hours.
Okay, but you need us to vote to approve that now? Are we certain of the amount, or should we vote like a nebulous no more than X amount of money?
Right, that might be a good idea. I mean, I think the quote was pretty straightforward. So to the best of my knowledge, it's going to be $33.88.91. But yeah, if we could have a little wiggle room, it couldn't hurt.
Okay, so how much wiggle room are you thinking? Like 35?
I think that should do it, yeah.
I move it.
Okay, can I get a second? Did someone raise a hand?
I second.
Okay, so like everyone and their mother seconded. Can I, so in that case, all in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, in that case, that passes. Was there anything else before we enter into executive session?
Yeah, I thought we were supposed to approve the reopening safety plan.
Oh, yeah.
Whoops.
Good catch.
Did everyone have a chance to read that? Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns regarding it?
I want to see all the 2-year-olds with masks.
They have to be older than 2. 2 and younger doesn't need one.
Okay, does anyone have any questions, amendment, or objections? Can I get someone to bring it to the floor?
I move it.
Any, can I get a second? Okay,
I
Chris
second.
is seconding. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Awesome. Thank you for reminding us of that, Pat, because I completely forgot.
So did I.
Okay, do we have anything else before we enter into the executive session? Okay, in that case, thank you, Holly and Ron. Have a great night.
Okay,
I
I'm
move
gonna
we go into-
transfer total control to you.
Okay, then I will stop the recording once we enter executive session. Oh, we need to vote on it. Can I get a motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. All right. Thank you, Ron. Have a good night.
Okay.
Who said nay?
Okay.